what we do here is go back.
Hey there folks, I'm the Anime Cop. It's my job to make sure all anime are up to par, and if it's not, then I'll bring them to justice. We've all seen pretty shitty anime. Maybe it was a really cringy isekai from back in the day. Possibly one with a dude in a smartphone where you look back and go, oof. That one was pretty gay. Maybe it was one where a dude tamed a bunch of beasts. That one was pretty shitty too. Now there are a lot of anime and a lot of really bad ones too, so because of that I'm only going to be covering the ones that really matter. These animes are the ones that people actually seem to like for some reason, even though they're a pile of donkey diarrhea. On today's episode of Anime Cop, we're going to be taking a look at Please Don't Bully Me Nagatoro, or simply put, Nagatoro. Now, for those who don't know, my good pal the Harm Reviewer already covered Nagatoro about 2 years ago. However, he mainly covered the manga, which is why he asked me to cover the anime for him. If you want to see his video on it, then you could click the link in the description to watch his video on Rumble. With all that said, let's see all the hate crimes Nagatoro has committed. Story? There's literally no story. Nagatoro just bullies and teases senpai. He gets nervous, he blushes, he screams, rinse and repeat. This is what 90% of the show is like, and it also doesn't help that most of it takes place in the same location, which is a club room or just a school in general. Sometimes the setting changes, such as in episode 3 where senpai hangs out with Nagatoro in her house. There's also episode 9 where senpai and Sakura walk around town together, but these are just exceptions. The show usually takes place in the club room, so because of that, it gets repetitive quickly. Another problem is that the series is very, very predictable. Just take a look at this scene from episode 4. Gammo and Yoshi come in and start teasing senpai. They want him to touch Gammo's breasts and senpai is super nervous. But then, uh-oh, Stinky, he touches her breasts, but guess what? It wasn't actually her breasts, it was just Anpan. That's so funny, I can't believe she didn't let senpai touch her breasts. I thought for sure those were her breasts senpai touched, but I guess I was wrong. Fucking kill me. This isn't funny, it's just annoying. Senpai is a wimp and Gammo and Yoshi are scumbags for tormenting him. I hate this, I hate all these characters, and I don't get how anyone likes this.
Man urinates.
Although this is a bit of a nitpick, I will say that the pacing in the anime is a bit on the slow side. While few, there were moments where I got bored, but usually I was more so irritated and annoyed. There's really nothing else left to say in terms of the series plot, so I'll move all the way to episode 10, which starts a school festival arc. It's easily the best part of the first season, although that's really not saying much. There's an actual plot here where senpai and Nagatoro have to beat the art club president Sana at the festival. If they don't beat her, then she'll shut down the club, and I really wish she did. That meant senpai would have just gone home, jerked off, and Nagatoro would have stopped bothering him, and the series would have ended.
Connection terminated.
But no, that obviously doesn't happen. What does happen in this arc, though, is a bit surprising. Sana gets disqualified because her painting is too sexy, which results in senpai winning by default. Also, because she lost, she wears a sexy bunny outfit, which is hot.
Big chungus, big chungus.
Another reason why this arc is notably better is because of Sana herself. So far, she's the only character in the series that I actually like, and that's because she's not dislikable or annoying. She's an artist who is very over the top and loves to paint self-portraits of herself nude. She's fun, she's funny, and yeah, she's a likable character unlike everyone else. And speaking of characters... oh god, I hate these characters so much. I especially hate Nagatoro with a burning passion. She's obnoxious and she's super annoying. She teases Senpai nonstop and even bullies him in the beginning. Yes, she outright bullies him in the first couple episodes. She torments him so much that he even ends up crying. Fuck you, Nagatoro, for being a terrible person, and fuck you, Senpai, for being a massive wimp. Yes, I know that she does tone down as the series goes on, but this is the sole reason why I can never forgive her and the series as a whole. What the hell does Nagatoro even see in him? He's good at drawing, and that's pretty much it. He's a loner who comes on paper all day and calls it art. He's a pushover, he's a wimp, he's generic, and very, very unlikable. How does anyone like him? He sucks. Him and Nagatoro were the exact reason why the series fails where others succeed. Other series like Uzaki and Tagaki are similar to Nagatoro, but they're decent, and that's all because of their main characters. Uzaki and Sakurai and Tagaki and Nishikata are all likable characters. Tagaki teases Nishikata a lot, but it works there for multiple reasons. 1, the two of them are kids, so it makes sense that they act childish. 2, Tagaki is just messing with and teasing Nishikata. She isn't bullying him. And even when she teases him, she doesn't go overboard. Meanwhile, Nagatoro both verbally and physically annoy Senpai. Finally, 3rd, Nishikata usually tries to one-up Tagaki, so he's actually putting in effort to fight back and beat her at her own game. As for Uzaki, I can see if people don't like her and find her annoying, but I enjoy her a lot. Again, she never bullied Sakurai, she just teases him. Sakurai, while not great, is at least an okay character and isn't a wimp. Again, he's not great, but I enjoyed him since he wasn't super generic. This is the main reason why these shows work and Nagatoro doesn't. Both Senpai and Nagatoro were dislikable and annoying characters, even more so than everyone else. Nagatoro and Senpai suck, and everyone else besides Sana sucks too. Gamma was another terrible person, and I think her Mal page describes her perfectly. She enjoys bullying people, and that's literally all you need to know about her. She's fucked up, but not in a good way. Then there's Yoshi, who's the best of the worst, I guess. She's the least annoying out of all the side characters, and she got a couple chuckles out of me. I don't hate her since I don't think she's that bad of a person, unlike Gamma and Nagatoro. She's just really stupid and does whatever everyone else is doing. Finally, there's Sakura, who's basically just Gamma but a slut.
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
Now, everything I just talked about was only season 1. There's still season 2, which is actually better, although not by a whole lot. Most of the season is still the same in terms of quality, although there are less shitty moments in it. For example, Nagatoro actually stands up for Senpai in episode 2, so that was kind of nice, I guess. Both Nagatoro and Senpai are more likable and less annoying now. Senpai is a bit less wimpy, and Nagatoro doesn't outright bully him in this season. She's still annoying, but she does tone down as the series progresses. Again, it also helps that Senpai gets slightly less wimpy, so he's not bothered as much by her teasing, although he still is. Even though both of these characters have improved, I still don't like either of them, especially Nagatoro. For example, in episode 5, Senpai is sick and she does take care of him, however she also teases him too, which is annoying. Like, really? The dude is sick and you're still bothering him?
Wow, what an asshole.
Also, this was mainly a nitpick, but it was repetitive seeing the club room all the time in the last season. season. This time we see the judo club, Senpai's house, the zoo, and some other places. It's nothing special, but a change of scenery is nice. Most of the season is ever so slightly better than before, but the last few episodes are where it's noticeable. Episode 9 is actually not half bad. It's mostly set in the judo club, and we see Senpai and Nagatoro fight in practice matches, which was pretty tolerable. Also, at the end, Nagatoro tells Senpai she'll kiss him when she beats Orihara, which finally creates a goal for the series besides the two of them getting together.
What's up, fuckers?
We get introduced to Sana's cousin Hana, who is another fun addition to the cast. Just like Sana, Hana is over the top, funny, and entertaining. I think the show could have been good if she and Sana were the main characters. That's something I would have actually liked to see.
You look hungry, are you?
The last episode has them go on a date and it's not half bad. But again, it's still not good since I don't like these characters. Later on, the two of them are about to hug, but then everyone interrupts them and it made me really angry. Thankfully, they do hug in the very last scene, so I can sort of forgive this. Overall though, these last few episodes aren't anything to write home about, but it's clear that they are better compared to most of the previous episodes. There's still some bad stuff in here, like Nagatoro bitch slapping Senpai and him being a big baby. For example, in episode 11, it takes so much effort for him just to ask Nagatoro out on a date, which is just fucking stupid. This season also introduces Nagatoro's sister, and I don't like her because she's just Nagatoro but older and still annoying. But yeah, season 2 is bad, but definitely a step up from season 1. The anime looks okay, I can't really complain. Surprisingly enough, season 2 was animated by a different studio when it's difficult to notice. Telecom Animation did season 1 and OLM did season 2. They both look fine, I guess. They aren't great, but they don't look bad either. If I had to choose, I'd say season 1 looks ever so slightly better than season 2. Some of the lighting is more impressive, and I think the animation might have been slightly better too, but it's really hard to tell. The soundtrack is overall okay too. There are some pretty good tracks, but for the most part, it's just fine. However, there is one really annoying track that plays every so often.
Gallantry! Do you get it yet? Look at how you react in real life!
I hate it whenever I hear it. It's obnoxious and it makes my ears bleed. Both the openings are alright, but I actually really enjoy the first ending theme.
What are you doing? Please don't do that! I didn't ask for this! What if someone comes in here?
As for its English dub, it's pretty weird. Senpai is voiced by Eric Kamara, who I mainly know as Ryuji from Toradora. Once I realized it was him, it bothered me for the rest of the show. It was a bit difficult to pay attention at times, and I just wished I was watching Toradora instead, because that show is great and this one is... Then there's also Nagatoro's voice, and oh god, it was so bizarre hearing it for the first time. It took a long time to get used to her voice.
He fights alongside Lady Elizabeth, a beautiful knight from an enemy nation as they undertake a perilous mission.
Her voice is weird, but her actress does capture her annoyance really well, like in these clips.
We're gonna cut your hair! We're gonna cut your hair! We're gonna cut your hair! Bean bun!
So I guess she does a good job at playing Nagatoro since I can't stand her voice just as much as I can't stand her in general. Also, Senpai's VA does capture his wimpiness really well too, so again, I can't complain about him. It's just weird to hear Ryuji's voice come out of Senpai's mouth. Everyone else does a fine job, but the real show stealer is this.
Was it just me, Senpai? Or were you acting super sus when I came in here?
Senpai's just acting sus as usual.
Ever since we sat down, you've been acting twice as sus as usual.
Yup, that's spicy goodness, like a boss. Well, there you have it. That was Please Don't Bully Me Nagatoro, and even years later, it's still shit. However, I will say that even though it's not by much, Season 2 is slightly better than Season 1. After going through all the hate crimes Nagatoro has committed, we've come to a final verdict. Season 1 gets a 3.97 and Season 2 gets a 4.39 out of 10. I don't hate Nagatoro, I just really really don't like it. If season 3 ever comes along, then I guess I'll have to do an anime deputy on it, but who knows. But that probably won't be for a long time. Now, what would be in season 3 if it ever gets made? I have no idea. I'm the anime cop. I don't read manga, I just watch anime. That's why now I'll be letting my coworker take over for the rest of the video. Hey there folks, I'm the manga cop. It's my job to make sure all manga are up to par, and if they're not, then I'll bring them to justice. My buddy the anime cop just went over NAGATORO's anime, so it's my job to go over its manga to see what hate crimes it's committed. From what I can tell, the anime seems to have adapted up to chapter 91, so I'm just going to be starting from there. Every problem that the anime cop had with the anime, I still have with the manga. Senpai and Nagatoro are still both dislikable and annoying, and there's basically no plot until around chapter 80. There are a lot of really good facial expressions here, and the character designs are overall fine. However, the manga itself is just painfully bland and boring in terms of how it's presented. I picked a random number, which was 50, so we'll be looking at chapter 50 as an example. Here's the very first page, and as a singular page, there's nothing wrong with it. Now here's the next 2 pages, which again are also technically fine. These are the next 2, and yeah, are you starting to see the problem here? Look at how bland and boring these pages are. All of these pages consist of only squares and rectangles. It's the same thing over and over again, and because of that, reading the manga feels kinda boring. My eyes move in the same direction and go on the same path from the start to the end of every page. We start at the top right, go to the left, start at the next row, move to the left, rinse, and repeat. Obviously, not every page is like this, but so much of it is, which is one of my biggest problems with the manga. The panel layout is so generic and bare bone, and again, it's just uninspired. They don't feel like manga panels, they just feel like storyboards for an anime. The creator Nanashi isn't using the medium of manga to his advantage at all. There is so much you could do in manga, and there are only things that work in manga. You can have characters pop out of panels. You can have panels be any shape and size you want, but Nanashi rarely does this. Panels are rarely slanted, and they're usually the exact same shape and size. Now, I don't think Nanashi is a bad artist, because clearly he isn't. His character designs are decent, facial expressions are usually good, and overall the manga is illustrated fairly well, even if it isn't impressive. There are some pretty good pages, such as these few in chapter 110. Here Nagatoro and Senpai start holding hands, and there's barely any dialogue for 7 pages straight. Nanashi is letting the visuals do the storytelling, not the dialogue, which is always a good thing. There's also this page in chapter 121 where Nagatoro sees Senpai after he calls her name. In just one page, we see Nagatoro's expression change from surprised to happy and then to irritated. It's a really good page and probably one of my favorites in the manga. So yes, Nanashi can make some good pages, but they're usually a rarity. Also, I will say that Nanashi has been changing the panel layout of the pages in some of the more recent chapters, but it's not too noticeable. Anyway, as I was saying, season 2 seems to have adapted up to chapter 91. For the most part, everything seems to be the same as the manga except for one notable difference, that being the last scene where Nagatoro and Senpai hug. In the manga, they don't do this, which really pissed me off. It was stupid how they got interrupted by everyone on the beach, but at least they hugged afterwards, so that sorta made up for it. But in the manga, that doesn't happen, and it's really fucking dumb. But anyway, besides that, let's go over everything that the anime hasn't adapted yet. As of writing this video, the manga is currently at chapter 126, so that's where I'll end off for today. Now, although this is only about 35 chapters, I have to admit that I was very surprised by what I read. I don't like the series. There's very few aspects that I enjoy in it, but I have to say, most of these recent chapters were actually not half bad. Although I still don't like Senpai and Nagatoro, they are becoming less dislikable as the series progresses. Senpai does become less wimpy and Nagatoro has become less annoying. However, even though they aren't as dislikable as before, they still aren't likable. They're just more tolerable now and I don't hate them anymore like I did before. The same thing goes for story, which yes, there actually is a story now, which is nice even though it's pretty simple. Nagatoro says she'll kiss Senpai when she beats Urahara, meanwhile Senpai will confess to her if he places first on his mock exam. Again, it's pretty simple, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Just having a story at all in the series is a plus, and I feel like something is actually happening in it, which I couldn't say beforehand. There's also some genuine good moments, such as this scene in chapter 107. Senpai is wondering what his life will be like in the future and realizes that he wants to stay with Nagatoro even after high school. It's easily one of the best scenes in the manga, and I actually sort of enjoyed it. The series has also gotten less predictable, which is nice as well. Sana tells Senpai that she'll be his nude model, but then Nagatoro decides to be his model instead. They're both extremely nervous, and I thought for sure that they wouldn't go through with it, but surprisingly enough, they do. And yeah, I did not expect that. With the way the series is heading now, it feels like it could be coming to an end with Senpai confessing to Nagatoro. That seems like a good place to end it, but it could continue with them after high school, but who knows. So yeah, a lot of the chapters past the anime are actually not half bad. However, while I find them tolerable, I can't quite say they're good. While on their own, they're fine, there's still chapters in this series, which is my main problem. No matter how much better the chapters get, I still won't be able to say that the series is good or at the very least decent. The beginning of the series, especially the first few chapters, put an awful taste in my mouth. I hated Nagatoro, I hated Senpai, nothing happened, and I could not stand the series until the school festival arc. So even though the series has clearly gotten better, I think the damage has already been done. It's sort of like Black Clover in a way where it started out really shitty, but then progressively got better and better as it went on. But even though it's not half bad at the moment, it's just too little too late. The series still has its issues, like its panel layout being very bland and generic. Although it has introduced some more likable characters like Shiki, it also gave us Nagatoro's brother. Just like her and her sister, he's a piece of shit and is annoying.
Terrorists win.
Well, that was the manga for Please Don't Bully Me Nagatoro. A good chunk of it is pretty shitty, but I will admit that the most recent chapters are actually not half bad. But then again, the damage has already been done. It's sort of like watching a pedophile help an old lady cross the street. It's like, oh, this guy's doing something actually pretty nice. But then you remembered he probably diddled some kids, so... oof. In conclusion, Nagatoro has committed many hate crimes, which is why I'm going to give it 4 light bulbs out of 10. Why the fuck did I do this? Where is my senpai? Is he in the club room, stuck in there drawing every day? I'll stop him from drawing and crush his dumb paintings, and this club is not his own. Yes, need to tease him, yes, and the reason is I know that he likes me back. I'm Hayase. He's such a wimp and cries all the time. I'm going to tease him every day. Everyone tries to mess with my senpai, but hands off, he's mine, teasing my senpai. He looks pathetic, he's a wimpy loser. I'll mess with him all on my own. He's my slave, I'll torment him, I'll mess with him all day. I am Nagatoro, senpai, you're so perverted. Yes! Illustrations! Yes! He draws them every day in class, I'll tease him all on my own. I'm Hayase! He's crying at me, blushing at me. I'm going to tease him every day. Everyone tries to mess with senpai, but hands off, he's mine, teasing my senpai! I've teased him every day and night, he hasn't left me. I'll stay with him until the end to see him cry and see him scream. He's such a wimp and cries all the time. I'm going to tease him every day. Everyone tries to mess with my senpai, but hands off, he's mine, teasing my senpai. He's crying at me, blushing at me. I'm going to tease him every day. Everyone tries to mess with my senpai, but hands off, he's mine, teasing my senpai. He'll whimper and cry, and everyone tried, but hands off, he's mine, teasing my senpai. I'm gay.